Hi everyone, welcome to Front Page MMA. Today we're lucky enough to be joined by Shorty Torres. How are we doing? How are you?
I'm great, man. Everything I'm trying to be as positive as I can possibly be during this crazy time in this world.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what everyone's trying to do at the moment. That's kind of the first thing I was going to ask you about. How has being stuck inside impacted your routine as it comes to MMA training?
You know what's crazy is everyone's been asking me the same question. What's changed since the quarantine started? Literally nothing for me. I wake up, I eat, I go downstairs, train, come back upstairs, make a cheat meal, get sad, take a nap, go back downstairs, work out more because I ate more, and then come back upstairs and fall asleep and then just repeat the whole cycle. The only difference is, right now I'm at American Top Team, so I literally live inside the gym. I'm very fortunate enough to where I can wake up, go downstairs, and there's a gym, accessible to me, and then come back upstairs and do whatever. This time is just less people to get punched by in the face. So overall, whoever's in the gym, we get to work out together. But if you're not in the gym, technically you're not allowed. So that's just the hard part with this. So when it comes to even like the events coming up, a UFC event coming up, I don't know if you're going to get the best performances because, not all of us can really train to our fullest extent. So that's the hardest thing. So we'll see how that plays out. But overall, man, nothing for me has personally changed. I just get to eat a little more.
Yeah, so you're quite fortunate in that way because a lot of fighters are kind of having to train out of their garages or just out of their home gym, but you've actually got a world-class gym just down the stairs from you, so that's quite handy.
Yeah, man, it really, really is nice. And then, my manager is down the block, so I get to play with his kids. And, man, I'm only 27, but you really start to feel old and you're on the trampoline or playing in the pool and they're 9 and 11. You're like, how I used to be able to do this no problem. Why do I struggle so much? Why am I so scared? So that's a whole different work on its own. But I get to have a little bit more family time, a little more relaxed. I get to go downstairs, train, without the pressure of a fight coming up or a weight cut and stuff like that. So it's nice. It brings the fun back in again.
Yeah, so at least there's some positives then. So you were scheduled to fight last month against Matheus Nicolau, if I'm pronouncing that right, in Brave. How did you find out that the fight was off, and how did you feel, I suppose, when you got the news?
Man, it was actually supposed to happen not this Saturday, but last Saturday, which is crazy because that was pretty much a week and a half ago. And so I was definitely ready for it. I was already down here 3 months, very, very excited to fight. Just even having the fight together. I mean, he's a UFC veteran. I'm a UFC veteran. The fight was just going to be a banger. But there was that speculation when UFC Brasilia was going to be a closed event. It was like, is Brave going to have their event? And, I was still training. And that's the hardest part for a fighter, especially like me. I'm a chubster. I gain a lot of weight and I have to cut a lot of weight. So I'm Jose Chubby Torres in the meantime. So when I'm cutting weight, I get moody and I'm just like, man, I want to know if I'm fighting or not. Because if I'm not fighting, I'm going to go to the gas station, grab the snacks. If I am fighting, then let me go back in my room, cry, and be as serious as possible until I have to fight. And I went to a friend's house that Saturday to watch UFC Brasilia. And while I'm watching the fight, they made some home cooking. I was raised if somebody cooks some home cooked meal, you got to eat it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit, and then I won't, do certain things later on the night. And then I was like, man, maybe this fight won't happen. Yeah, no, I'll have a second plate.
Yeah.
Man, and then by the time the night ended, I was like, I kind of hope this fight doesn't go through because I eat so much. And then it's my usual regret on a Saturday night. And then on Sunday, on the morning, I found out the fight wasn't going to happen. It was just like, okay, let me take 10 minutes to grieve about it, if you want to say, because again, I did 3 months of work where it's money, time, things that I just won't get back in those 3 months, in a sense, wasted. And now I have to wait until question mark. I have to wait until whatever's next. So that's the hardest part. It does really suck because it's a tournament. So we'll see if they still implement the tournament style or if they do like a PFL and have 2 fights in one day to make up for it, which I think it'd still be really, really cool. But it does suck. But again, things happen for a reason. It might be good for just honestly the whole world to take a nice little mental break. And hopefully people are taking this again in a positive way of going, let's just relax a little bit and then have the full energy to get back to it.
Yeah, so is that still the fight that you want against Matheus? Is that still the fight you want when you get back to things? And kind of ideally, when would you like that to be?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'd like it tomorrow. Realistically, me, I want to be like DJ when he was the champion in the UFC, or even Max Holloway before he was a champion. I want to be able to grab the belt and defeat every single person in my weight class. I believe if you are a champion of whatever promotion, you have to defend it against whoever's next in line. I'm not a person to ever pick fights. I'm not a person to go, stylistically, I'd rather pick this guy than this guy.
Yeah.
If the guy's next in line, I 100% respect that. And if he's better than me, then so be it. He's better than me. But DJ was able to prove that doesn't matter who you are, you can do 11 straight title defenses. And I want to be able to do the same.
That is something I was going to ask you about. What are your goals right now in Brave? Is it just to build up a legacy there, or I know you didn't have the best sort of experience with the UFC, but would you like to kind of try having another gun? And sorry, would you like to try having another go at the UFC, or are you happy where you are now?
I'm honestly very happy where I'm at now. I'm making definitely a lot more money than I was in the UFC. UFC didn't really treat me the best. I had 2 last-minute fights. I was given ultimatums. I wasn't really given a choice. And that's and the ultimatums, even though it was a choice, it was very, very bad choices. So sadly, I was kind of forced into certain positions that I had no choice but to take. So it was one of those things that when I finally got the Brave, the way I'm being treated now is the way I expected the UFC to treat me. It's kind of like making it to the NFL after college, or making it to the NBA after college. Just one of those things where you expect so much, but then get treated like crap. The UFC, in a sense, treated me like another fighter that had no resume. I had the biggest resume in the flyweight division entering the UFC. So I was excited, but so be it. I'm in Brave, and Brave right now is hiring a lot of UFC veterans and a lot of guys around the world that in this tournament, man. I mean, you have, I think, 11-time Jiu-Jitsu world champ Bruno Malfacino, you have Mateusz Nicolau, Dustin Ortiz, Zach Mikowski, UFC veterans, and other people, Sambo world champions. I'm like, this is a really, really hard tournament because you don't know them does not mean they're not great. I mean, look at boxing, for example. No one knew Triple G until he was like 32. And he was already on like an 18 knockout win streak. And look at Manny Pacquiao. No one knew who he was. He took a 2-week last-minute notice fight, ended up being later on in life an 8-time world champ. So it's a crazy thing if people, I wouldn't even say disrespect, but belittle some of these promotions that they don't really know too much. But once they see them fight, it's a huge difference. So for me, I want to fight everyone in the weight class. I believe whatever's an exciting fight is an exciting fight. I prefer certain fighters over others. I want to make it a stand-up battle in every single fight, but that's because I want to make it entertaining for the fans.
Yeah, that is something that's been coming a lot more noticeable recently. It used to be that the UFC was number one, and that was it, basically. There was Bellator and things, but they weren't really close. There was a clear leader. But now you've got things like Brave, like One, Rising, who are really starting to kind of close the gap a little bit. Do you think that's kind of good for the sport in general, having all these different promotions making a name for themselves?
I think it's going to be a huge thing because, we need competition. We need competition to help us fighters. And boxing, it's already established where these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if they're not main events. And if you're, if you're main event now, you're making millions of dollars. But UFC, I think it was the comparison when Canelo fought and then Cerrone fought on the same day. Cerrone made $300,000, which is great. But Canelo made like $30 million. It's one of those things just like, why is there such a huge difference? And I believe with these other MMA promotions coming in and now going, we want you. No, we want you. Now it's more money for us fighters. And again, we put our lives on the line every day. It's very, very hard for us. Even when we don't have a fight, we're sparring. We're still taking damage outside the cage, technically. I get hurt way more than I do in practice than I do in the fight. So it is a huge thing. I believe these MMA promotions coming around the world and competing with each other is great for the fighters, great for the fans, and just makes more opportunity for the fans to watch something literally almost every single day out of the week.
Yeah, definitely. It is obviously a positive for the sport. One thing I was going to ask about your move to Brave, what was the kind of bigger differences you noticed? I know you've only had one fight with them so far, but what were the kind of key differences that you found with the overall experience? Not just how you were treated, but just how the kind of fight week went, weighing in, having the fight. How was everything? What were the differences?
One thing, Brave is still fairly a new promotion compared to the UFC. So the UFC, honestly, backstage, everyone backstage, all the employees, they're phenomenal. Like, they're right on everything. When you're going to weigh in, when you're doing this, when you're doing that. Brave right now is still trying to get to that organization level, and they're almost there, because I can tell you when I got there, everything was still organized, but sometimes, again, last minute things change, or, we want to do this, we want to do that. So they're still growing and learning in that promotion aspect. But overall, when I was supposed to fight in November, man, I swear I thought, even though I wasn't supposed to, I was supposed to fight and I didn't fight. I still went to the event, And I got so sad at the event because while these guys are walking out and they're making this huge spectacle, it was like I was watching WrestleMania or like a WWE event where like there's fireworks and people are coming out, there's people dancing, people are coming out in Lamborghinis. I was just like, what the hell is this? Compared to my 2 walkouts in the UFC, it's just like, all right, walk out, hey, what's up, guys? And then you're inside the cage. This is like an actual event where you're doing this, doing that, and there's entertainment in between the fights instead of just kind of like, oh, hey, call me when the fight's gonna happen. So that's something that's really, really cool about Brave is that they really up the production value.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of promotions doing that. I know it's always been a thing over in sort of Asia with Japan, with like Pride and One and Rising. They always put on a massive show, so it's good to see like other promotions start to kind of take a bit from that and really make it more of a show for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you when you were after you got released by the UFC, what was it that made Brave the sort of ideal place for you that you knew, oh, this is what it wants to be? I know money obviously was a big part of it, but what were the kind of other factors that you looked at?
Well, money was definitely a part of it. The good thing about Brave is that, especially for me, is it started as a MMA team and then eventually turned into a bigger MMA team, kind of like a facility. And then they decided to make their own promotion. I was already signed with Titan on a fight deal, so I couldn't break that anytime soon. And Brave, when they started, the owner, the main guy who started it, Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, which is the Prince of Bahrain. He ended up hiring me to be on the team of KHK when they first started in 2015. So I've known them for a while. So by the time they started the promotion, they're like, dude, you need to fight for us. I'm like, whoa, I've already signed with Titan. Oh, cool. Well, I'm already signed with the UFC. You guys are still brand new. No offense. I don't know how things are going to work out for you guys. Maybe you do it for a year and you're just like, all right, I'm not into it anymore. So when I finally got released, I'm like, man, what promotion do I want to sign for? And Brave immediately jumped on it before everyone else. Was like, dude, we love you and we're going to respect you the way you should be respected. Plus, we know you. We're going to help you out. You have all of our phone numbers. You can talk to the higher ups. When you need something, just reach out. And I thought that was the biggest thing is that they were going to talk to me instead of, I never spoke to Dana. When out of my 2 fights, I shook his hand once. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And that was it. It was like, oh, later, buddy. Like trying to have a conversation. So, and then Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, I never really spoke with. It always seems very, very weird, like forced conversations compared to Brave. It was just like, hey, my friend, and everyone's trying to help out. And that's the cool thing is that they're always trying to get, they're one thing I really like about Brave is that they give a highlight to every single fighter, and they give the same opportunity to the main event guy compared to the guy who's fighting first in the card. Everyone's treated exactly the same, which is like, that's very rare, Yeah. So I think it's very, very cool that you're doing that, and they're giving a lot of countries that don't have the notoriety some notoriety, and I think that's a great thing.
I know I don't want to keep going back to the UFC because you've been asked these questions to death, but you spoke about how the conversations are forced. I was going to ask, how was it you were informed that the UFC weren't interested in keeping you on anymore? Because I know it's quite often fighters just get texted and say, "Oh, that's you." So what was your situation?
What's crazy is a lot of people are finding out that they're fighting through social media or they're released through social media. It's like, oh, wait, what? For me, I found out, so I had my own YouTube series, and I still have it. I just haven't made any videos. It was called Inside Team Shorty, where it's more of like the mental side of the sport. Instead of teaching technique, I'm teaching you different things like a big brother tactic on the mind. And I ended up posting a video about DJ being traded for Ben Askren and Ben Askren coming to the UFC. And I was like, you got to think about it realistically. And I do have a business mindset when it comes to it. I go, man, if Dana White wanted to cut the whole flyweight division because DJ didn't want to fight TJ, then and DJ is technically our most entertaining fighter, which I believe he only had 2 main events out of 11 title fights. He's gone. Who else do we have? We don't have a Conor McGregor. We don't have a Colby Covington. We don't have those guys that are super popular. DJ was our most popular guy. He's gone. What's going to happen to the flyweight division? So I put that out in the video in all these social media pages, like MMA Junkie, MMAfighting.com. They're like, dude, I think you hit the money. We're going to post about it. And the UFC didn't like that type of publicity. And so I was like, man, my manager was like, actually, I think you're kind of onto something. Let me ask the matchmaking. They're like, no, we're not releasing any of the flyweights. Then the next week, all right, yeah, we're going to release some of the flyweights. The next week, hey, buddy, you're cut. And it's like, why am I cut first? Like, I only
Yeah,
had 2 fights. They're like, well, you won your first fight by a lucky knockout, and you got knocked out your next one. I was like, so? Like,
mm,
I still have a 4-fight contract, but they can cut you through any of their terms. So that's the hard part is, oh, my light went off. That's the hard part of once you're cut. Oh, come
mhm,
on, Mike, you're cut. And so I found out through my manager, but it was more of like the cat and mouse game. Like, hey man, tell me the truth, and no, no, no. All right, we're gonna cut you. So in a sense, I started the speed up of the release of the flyweight division. They just started cutting people once their contracts ended or once they lost. So that was really sad. I believe there was 45 guys. Now there's only 15. So all
yeah,
15 UFC fighters that are in the flyweight division are ranked. That is no fair at all.
yeah, of course. That's something I noticed when you said people were getting cut after like a loss, similar to your position. Your brave opponent, Mateus Nicolau, he was in a 4-fight winning streak, I'm sure, in the UFC, then lost once to Dustin Ortiz, and that was it, out the door. So
Yeah,
it seems like there is a lack
Dustin
of
Ortiz
appreciation. Mm,
Dustin Ortiz lost to Benavidez. That's a number 3 versus 2 guy,
yeah.
and he lost. And they're like, "All right, cool, you're out." And it's like, what?
So did it feel like they were looking for just any opportunity to get rid of as many fighters as they could?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to ask. In America, even like the AJ spoke about this before, there's a sort of a lack of appreciation for the lower weight classes. They kind of want the heavyweights, the big one punch knockout fighters, big huge fighters. Is it nicer to be fighting kind of not as much in America anymore, and these countries kind of in Asia and the Middle East that do appreciate the smaller fighters a bit more?
I think it's awesome. And the cool thing is they know we're entertaining fighters. They understand that we might not have the extreme power like heavyweights, but no offense, and given I'm biased because I'm a small guy, heavyweights, most of them are honestly boring fighters and they're not super technical. I mean, I'm not saying Derek Lewis is a bad fighter, but he's losing fights, and I don't know, or one shot can end it all. Yes, is that entertaining? Cool. Same thing with Deontay Wilder. That is entertaining, but the only problem is sometimes it can be a boring fight all
Mm,
throughout compared to small guys. We have to work. We have to do pressure. We have to throw combinations, and we have to hit you multiple times to finish the job. And there's always action, action, action. Unless you have a wrestler versus wrestler, it's usually action, action, action. So the small guys, I mean, I think statistically they naturally have a lot smaller guys than the United States.
yeah.
If boxing can appreciate it, why can't MMA? And I believe MMA does a really, really fantastic job at promoting these fighters. But MMA, they don't really do that, and I don't know what.
I think it's true what you say in terms of the heavyweight division. I think for the more, I know it's a really overused term, but for the more casual fan, heavyweights might be more intriguing because the fight can end at any moment. But for people who really appreciate MMA, I don't think there's much debate that the lower weight classes is where you really see the technical fights. There's far more polished technique, and it's always it's nicer to watch on the eye for people who really know what they're looking at.
It's crazy. It's the opposite spectrum of women. They rather watch smaller women than the bigger ones. I get
Yeah,
it might be on like sex appeal, cool, but dude, look at Amanda Nunes or Cyborg. That 145-pound fight, that featherweight fight, she knocked her out clean. But then
mm,
you look at the Joanna versus Zhang fight, that was an amazing fight, and that was at strawweight. So
mm,
just imagine those type of fights in the flyweight division for men. So a lot of people just don't bother to look at it. I mean, you look at back in the day, Sergio Pettis versus Joseph Benavidez. They were number 2 and number 3 at the time. Whoever would have won would have got the title shot. At least for Pettis, if he would have won, he would have got the title shot. And that was on the UFC Fight Pass prelims before it was ESPN Plus.
yeah,
Dude, it's a title contender shot, and you're on the UFC Fight Pass prelims. That's not fair.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. I've kind of finished my questions that are relevant to today, but there's always a couple of questions that I like to ask the fighters when they come on. We'll start with the first one is what is a sort of funny experience you've had, either yourself or someone you've seen in the gym when it comes to cutting weight? Because a lot of fighters have quite a funny story when it comes to weight cutting in some form. You don't have to name names if that makes it easier, but just a funny story.
I'm trying to think. Oh man, so I've had horrible weight cutting experiences from 9 days, 26 pounds, and so many more. But one of my last actual fight that I had, it was April of last year, so it's been almost a freaking full year of me fighting or not fighting. But I'm in the tub, and I did struggle with the weight cut, and I believe the jet lag and the long travel didn't help from the United States to Jordan in the Middle East. And I'm in this tub, and sadly the water wasn't hot. It was definitely warm, but it wasn't hot enough to like start your sweat. You had to get a hard workout and then be in this warm water. And for some reason, they had this big glass on the side of the tub. So if you're in the bed, you can see whoever's in the tub. You know, like if not, you have to press this button to put the shade down. So I'm in this tub, and my coach, I try my Master Bob. He's a great guy, but I try my best not to bring him in fight week because for some reason he just gets on my nerves. I get very, very like moody when I cut weight, and he doesn't realize it. He tries to make jokes about it, but I'm like, dude, just leave me alone. Anyways, I'm in this tub, and him and my manager walk in, and my coach is on his phone going live, and he like switches the camera to face me. And you ever seen Finding Nemo where that little ginger girl comes in and she sees Nemo in the fish tank at the dentist's office and she starts knocking on the glass? He goes, dude, you look like Nemo. You look like a little fish in there because it looks like an aquarium. Like I'm in this tub with water, and he just starts knocking on the window, and all you hear is like, and I'm just getting more annoyed. And he's filming me while I'm in this tub, like crying basically. I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I'm all moody, and I'm like looking at him all like super pissed. And he's just like, say hello to all your friends. And I'm just like, I was like, I don't care if you're 65, I'll fight you right now. You know, so it was one of those things that, man, I was just so annoyed. Or like right after we had the buffet downstairs, right after lunch, he's like, man, did you try the fish? Oh, that baked fish was so good. I'm like, Master Bob, I'm cutting weight. No, I did not try the fish. It's like, you should have had it. Why couldn't you have? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you're cutting weight. I'm like, dude, leave me alone, please. But there's plenty of really bad weight cutting stories where I know my coach's son was cutting weight one time, and he was doing it really, really bad last minute where he's like, it feels like my insides are burning. And like people on the outside were like, what the hell? Is this guy okay? Maybe he should stop cutting weight. He made weight.
Yeah, it's always quite a scary thing when you start hearing things like that. You kind of start to question whether or not you're going a bit far. My other question I had was, if you could set up any fight for yourself, current or past, regardless of promotion, who would you like to kind of test your skills against?
Honestly, I was really, really excited, and that's why I was very happy to be in the UFC. Was I wanted to fight DJ. I really did, and even still today, I really do, and did have the resume that no one's ever seen before. You know, so when you have people that are like, oh, he's never fought someone like me, it's like, no, he's kind of fought someone like you, you know. But for me, resume-wise, he's never fought someone like me. I had the biggest resume entering the UFC in any single weight class before entering in, you know, so before like signing into a big promotion. So it was like, technique-wise, I think I can fare with him, but you know, you never know. Honestly, I think today, if I would have fought him in 2018 when I was in the UFC, yeah, he would have beat me. But I think now it would definitely be a much more contested fight, especially I'm sparring with his next opponent, Adriano Moraes. He's down here at ATT, and him and I are having a great time. I'm like, you're going to fight DJ? Like, I'm at this level. I feel like I could have a great time against, you know, DJ. And it's something I would love to test my skills. I don't believe it's ever going to happen. But, and it's also a respect factor. It's not because I believe I can beat him. It's the one that, you know, he's the greatest in the world. I want to see how much I compare against him.
I think all fighters kind of feel that way, to be honest. It's not coming from a place of disrespect, like you said. You just kind of want to see how you would cope against one of the greatest of all time, basically. Yeah. So that's basically everything I have. But I'd be wrong if I didn't ask you, what's your who are you picking for Gaethje versus Ferguson?
As much as I'd love to pick Gaethje, because I am a mini-me of him, he is a fantastic fighter. I just don't believe he's had a full training camp, and that's going to really affect him in this fight. I believe if Gaethje had a full training camp, I believe he would have a great time against Tony Ferguson. It'd be a phenomenal fight, both of them going to war.
Yeah.
But right now, because of this whole pandemic, because of more than likely not getting a full training camp, and even that statement he said, like, I'm terrified and I'm excited because of it, I really do believe Tony Ferguson feeds off of that, and that's just his fight. Plus, he's been training for someone that is just as aggressive, maybe not with the hands and feet, but just as aggressive, with possibly even better wrestling. So Tony's definitely ready for this fight. I don't believe it's much of a switch up for Tony to fight from Khabib to Gaethje, but for Gaethje just to fight anyone, especially Tony right now, it's going to be an exhausting fight. So right now I'm going to give the edge to Tony, but I believe if Gaethje had a full training camp, it would be Gaethje.
I would agree with you there, but I'm kind of hoping, I don't know who I think's going to win, but I'm hoping that Tony wins just so that Khabib-Tony fight's still there for afterwards.
Yeah.
That's kind of the main thing for me. But anyway, that's me. So thanks for coming on. You've been a really good chat, great guest to come on. Hopefully, sometime in the future, after you've had your fight with Brave, we can get you back on again, have another chat.
I appreciate it, man. I can't wait, and please hit me up whenever, and just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks again. Hope you're staying safe, and talk to you again soon.
You as well. Take care, man. Cheers.
Cheers.